You need to get it and support us. Infowars.com. Worldwide transmission continues. Alan Watt with the latest analysis on the New World Order crime syndicate operations. Coming up, Ted Nugent declares, I will either be dead or in jail if Obama's reelected. He said Obama is wiping his hind end with the Constitution. Yeah, but so did Bush. And I used to get the Nugent on. I'll probably get him on again. And he'd be like, well, I hear you, but the Democrats are worse. Okay, well, it's like, do you want 500 milligrams of cyanide or 300? I mean, Benedict Arnold was worse because he posed as a patriot and wasn't. He was General Cornwallis or somebody, and I mean, respectable guy. He knows what side he's on. It's worse. The Republicans are worse. I mean, Obama's horrible. Horrible snake, duplicitous scum, filth, teleprompter reader. My point is, if you think Mitt Romney's going to save you, if he tried to be like Ronald Reagan and actually do something, he'd end up getting a bullet in him. Just like Reagan did. And then a special trip to the Air Force Hospital, get some cold blood, brain damage him, and then they'd have to hop him up on amphetamines and roll him out to the public. Oh, yeah, Reagan was like anti-New World Order, giving speeches against the Trilateral Commission. He'd been a communist early on. He was reading the New American, John Birch Society stuff. He was reading Lyndon LaRouche stuff. And they were like, dude, you're not the president. Hinckley's have dinner with the Bushes. You know what happens the next day. Boom. Cameron in Ohio, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
We need to get angry, Alex. We need to be mad at our own government for turning its back on us. That's what we need to do. We need to unify and unite. And it's not that we have to be on Twitter or Facebook. We have to unite into our power outside of the controlled matrix that they condemn us to, that they put us to, because they put it there for us. We have to show them our numbers and our strength and unite for liberty, Alex. Do you hear me?
Yeah, we've all got to get aggressive, but everybody's always looking for a silver bullet. We've got to denounce the foreign banker occupation and that America was taken over. We've got to get it. That message, the truth, this isn't the government. This is illegitimate and criminal, and everything it's doing is illegal, and they're staging terror attacks, and they're bringing the drugs in, and they're shipping the guns into Mexico and Honduras and Chicago and Dallas and Albuquerque to the drug gangs. The mafia took over America. The mafia took over America, just like they did Italy. But it's a globalist mafia of all different races and creeds and groups. And it's in there keeping people in the dark, and it's a mafia so powerful they hired high-tech scientists to come up with brainwashing and brain-damaging systems. And now the mafia is like, why don't we just start killing people and transfer their money to us with the medical treatments? And they said, yes, we're going to do that. And so they're just phasing in and testing now how to kill us, that they are the most evil scum you can imagine.
I know, and that's what makes my stomach turn, Alex. It makes me sick that right now all Americans aren't up in arms at our Capitol, screaming. Why? Well, why are they doing this to us? Why? But why aren't we? That's what we have to understand. Why aren't we? We have to have a goal, which is life and liberty and the pursuit of happiness, which should be everyone's goal, but they're taking that right away from us.
Well, listen, they can't take any right away. They can say they have the right to take your 2-year-old daughter and have her cry as a fat man sticks his hand down her pants and grabs her genitals. But we expose it as pedophilia. We expose them as the pig monsters they are, the man-bear pigs they are. And we bankrupt the airlines and the system, not subjecting that. And then when they come to your house to try it, you got to defend yourself. These are the most demonic, perverted, filthy, criminal scum, and we just keep calling them out. That's why they want to shut down the web and our freedom of speech, because the truth is savaging these murdering, narcotics trafficking, child molesting, filthy, gangster, eugenicist scum that have seized our country. But we first got to call them out for the gang rapists they are. Everybody knows now. There are very few who are in denial. Everyone knows that the governments and major banks ship in the majority of narcotics and even grow and produce them. They own the aircraft. They ship the arms in. It's all come out in the news over and over again. The coca plants, the poppies, all of it. And they keep drugs illegal so that the price will be higher, so people will have to rob your house or rob your wife or rob you to pay it, and that money goes back to the banks. Then, when they catch the low-level zombies who are on their product, they then put them in large private prisons owned by the big money-laundering banks to then work for 25 cents an hour, driving down wages and displacing your jobs. And the good old boys cheer it. And they say, I work at the prison. I work at the Justice Center. And then their own son's in there, and they're proud of it. My boy's in prison now. I'm over him, but that's a good thing. That's America. He got caught with some of them drugs. Because the only job was dealing drugs or running the prison. And that's the predatory New World Order economy. Vicente Fox, who is a globalist, though, is probably pretty sad that his ranch is overrun down in Mexico and that the criminal government down there is going to lose control. See, they've lost the war with smaller cartels who are, the people are so poor, they're ready to die. They're not afraid to die. Pretty macho down in Mexico. I mean, it's more people dying every year than died in a year, times 3 times at least. 3 times the people die every year or more in Mexico in the fake drug war than died on the U.S. side in the Vietnam War every year. It's 40-something thousand the last 3 years. 58,000 died in over a decade of Vietnam, so do the math. And so now they're like, ceasefire, ceasefire. Let's decriminalize this stuff. And at the Summit of Americas, with all the hookers and the rest of it, with all of this going on, the news with the Latin American leaders was decriminalize. Stop it. They know Europe and some areas has done this. Crime rates drop massively. People then see drugs as a sad disease, not as sexy, associated with money. But see, the system has a 2-prong attack. Yet now over 20% of the population of women or higher, men close to that, school children over 20%, on psychotropic, brain-damaging drugs. And when they go haywire and kill people, they just then call for taking our guns. And then also push the illegal drugs on them. And the, quote, U.S. government, that means the big banks that run our government, that launder the money and control the Federal Reserve, they said, no, we're not getting rid of it. In fact, we're going to keep shipping guns into Mexico and Honduras to keep destabilizing things. We like it. We like it just fine. Because the war on drugs is a success. Corrupt the police, imprison the population, bring in drugs, kill the people with ODs, destroy society, have SWAT teams busting houses, kill people's dogs, kill insurance salesmen's wrong house, corrupt the police. You think prohibition, 10 years of alcohol prohibition, tripling the size of the mafia, corrupting police, hundreds and hundreds of millions made in those days' numbers a year. You think that was a success, prohibition for the mafia? Or was it a failure? Oh, no, don't make alcohol illegal. That you just made it criminals' domain. The government, the feds deal with child molestation rules and kidnapping rules because they publicly run most of the child kidnapping. They'll make a big deal out of some lone scumbag, but when they're loading little kids on C-130s to be flown to Saudi Arabia to have their heads beat in with claw hammers and snuff film with shotgun blast to the head, you know what? It comes out, Italian news reports it, German news reports it, they fire the people that report it. Not because they were wrong, but because U.S. government officials are involved. You got people that like to beat little kids' heads in with hammers after they rape them. That's who runs the world, okay? And go look into what I just said, by the way. You're going to be like, that's a true story? Oh, yeah. Would you like to hear more? It's kind of like Starship Troopers on the news. Would you like to hear more? We take you now to Clandethu. We take you now to the planet Earth, where the crazy people run things. The New World Order is insane. And I want to bring this up to top researcher. He's a great researcher, Alan Watt, musician, author, radio host in his own right, cuttingthematrix.com. I want to get him on with us and out of the gates hear what he has to say today. Maybe hold him a little bit in the next hour and take some calls. But I wanted to get Alan on today to bring up this point because I have a theory, but it's not really a theory. It's kind of like I have a theory that crawdads come up to the edge of the water and hunt little frogs and things. Little crawdads, little freshwater lobsters, little freshwater crustaceans. It's not a theory. I watch them do it. I don't have a theory that ducks fly south in the winter and back north in the spring. I know it. And I've studied elites. It's like a tropism. In every case, going back to the beginnings of civilization, every culture built pyramids and sacrificed children on top of them every day. Every culture ate children. Every culture tortured people. What is that? That's what cultures always end in. Because psychopath, inbred, crazy people keep inbreeding. They're the ones that are like cancer. They're willing to do whatever to have power. They lust after it. And then something happens. They interbreed, which in every mammal species causes crazy behavior, antisocial behavior, megalomania, aggression, a sense of psycho-domination, masochistic bloodlust, bloodthirst. Every culture, study history. But then something worse happens. Syphilis has been with humans as long as we've been on this planet. Syphilis basically is microscopic worms that eat your brain. And almost all elites that have been studied had syphilitic brains. Pharaohs, mafia dons, British royalty. Jack the Ripper, the crown prince running around killing people. So you've got syphilitic brains interbreeding with aggressive dominant people, creating hyper-psychopathic, blood-drinking goblin creatures, basically. That's what the New World Order is. That's why they do this. Why does a spider spin a certain web? Why does a squirrel bury nuts? It's inbred into them. Normal, wholesome people are blind to this because it's so alien. If we can ever admit and discover this historically, we wouldn't be doomed to repeat it. All right, I take you now to Canada, and Alan Watt joining us. Alan, what do you think of my statements, and what do you think of the point I made with the inbreeding and the syphilitic brain overlay?
Oh, it's pretty accurate. I mean, even Lenin, they found out the left part of his brain was pretty well eaten away when he died. And of course, he was insane, basically, for the last few months. So it's a very common thing, but it really turns up in the second and third generation of elite where they might all start off as gangsters or robbers or murderers, probably all of them, in fact. And in the third generation, who get the education, come along, and they start to form their clubs. And then they discuss the normal topics, like why are we so different from all the peasants that we rule over? And they come up with their own theories. And what they came up with, of course, is there's always been slavery. It's a natural thing. Slavery is a natural thing. And the peasants are always in a different mindset than we are, because we're the leisure class. And we have time to think about things, but the peasant doesn't. And then, of course, the fourth generation comes along, and then they say, well, the peasant actually can't think about that. He's actually inferior. He's low IQ. And this goes on for many, many generations, and until you hit the present time. Today, you're ruled by the same descendants that have been here for an awful long time. An awful long time.
And again, if you study the royalty, the Rothschilds, all of them, generally half the offspring are locked up in asylums. That's the half that survived. Generally, about half die, and then of the half that live, half are criminally insane, literally acting like monkeys, and then the other half are just psychopathic control freaks.
The control freaks, but you must remember, too, these characters, like the Rothschilds, belong to their own secret societies, and they have them. And Benjamin Franklin, in fact, joined a couple of them, in fact.
Hellfire Club, yeah.
Yeah, and one in France, too, the Nine Sisters Lodge. And he lived the same kind of lifestyle as he did over in France. When you see how much he was given per month by the French government, and the mansion they put him up in, and the parties, they had endless parties, and all the top women of the day, etc. He actually enjoyed that lifestyle. But the thing is, corruption has always ruled the world. Charles Galton Darwin said the same thing, and he was another inbred, descended